Coming to a new school can be very hard. Learning a new language and just a hard time adjusting. Well, let's see how really hard it is in a public high school for transfers at Pathways in Technology to early college.
The main issue P-TECH has with newly transfers are adjusting to the curriculum and socializing in the school.
Studies show that many of the transfers lack the technical skills or the background knowledge necessary to learn.
The transition process at the school happens pretty quickly. A lot of times we get notice maybe the day before or 2 days before from what's called the Welcome Center, which is the main center that transfers students over. And a lot of times students just end up showing up. The transition process usually happens pretty quickly, and I think that it would be great to have a lot more things in place for them so that way they feel more comfortable, right? And they're not just thrown into the school without kind of knowing what P-TECH is about and what we do. So when students usually come in, they're greeted by Mr. Smith, who's the parent coordinator. And after that, Mr. Smith usually brings the student and their families to either myself or one of the school counselors. We do a mini tour with them. The contact that happens is just with us as staff rather than with you all, right? Who they actually have to be in classes with, who they actually have to be around. One of the main kind of differences I think that would help is having direct contact with other students so that way they feel a little bit more comfortable. When I first started here, it was kind of difficult for me because it was trying to figure out what spaces made sense to take them to at this point because I've done it a couple times. I'm a bit comfortable with it. So we usually try to hit the main points like the library, a Lyles, showing them Mr. Davis's office, showing them just the different classrooms. So at this point, it's not as difficult as it was when I first started.
How did you receive the job of managing and helping newly transfers?
I was kind of just thrown to me, like a lot of the things that I do here. But again, when I first kind of started, I was trying to figure out what that looked like, what method would be best. And so I think I've been trying to, again, just try to connect the students with other students so that way it helps. As far as just like schedule, right? What the gym schedule looks like, just letting them know about like different activities that we have it going on. But now I try to at least pull in someone that's in the same grade just so they can connect with them, help them around, help them show them what classes to go to and things like that. More recently, a lot of it are newcomers or just migrant families that have come to the US. And so a lot of times with that is what we're seeing a little bit more often, just because in general, New York has a big influx of, families that have migrated here. I think it's very difficult for them to socialize, especially if there's a language barrier. Just difficulties with them, like finding their circles. On the positive side, I feel like there have been students that have come in here and have adjusted pretty quickly, which it always makes me happy to see. At least there's like one or two other students that we have that we can try to connect them to that's helpful for them.
Each year is a little bit different in terms of how many students arrive and how many students leave. When we have a lot of students transfer out, we have a lot more come in. I'd say on an average year, it's somewhere between 15 and 20, but it has been higher in certain years as well. P-TECH's a pretty unique school. And so when students come from different schools, especially out of state or out of the country, they often have very different coursework than you all had in grades 9 and 10. So early on, when students transfer in 9th grade or in 10th grade, it's not too big a problem. But if students arrive in 11th grade or 12th grade, they have way different courses on their transcript than you all would have as P-TECH students. It's hard sometimes to know if an older student's a freshman, if they're a sophomore, if they're a junior, because their credits don't really line up with the courses that you all take here. It's a case-by-case basis. It's individualized. So some students come with advanced standing because of other coursework they've done. Some students are 17 or 18 and really belong in freshman level classes. So we have to do a transcript review. We'll sometimes reach out to old schools and get more information about how students perform there. And sometimes we have to guess. We've had students arrive from countries where they don't speak English primarily. We've had transcripts in different languages we have to get translated. So it can be a real challenge. It's really important that new students and their guardians understand the unique model that we operate with here. Students are enrolled in college courses as soon as they're able to. For many schools, for many parents, that's a big adjustment. We want 10th graders and 11th graders to be in college courses, as you know, and so that's a big adjustment. In addition, we want students and families to understand the model is focused on technology. Some students will come in and say, I don't like computers, I don't want to work with computers. Unfortunately, this school really is focused on those careers in information technology. Students can major in computer information systems or electromechanical engineering technology. Both require a lot of math and a lot of science. New York City's got over 500 public high schools that students can attend, so we want to make sure families understand the sort of unique features of our school. Some students come in and are academically ahead, some are behind. Some students come in struggling with the language. That, I think, is the biggest problem for a small number of students who come from countries where English isn't the first language. We've had a handful of transfers who really struggle just to understand the basic instructions and sort of protocols with how we do things. The other thing is really getting caught up. So some of the unique courses we offer, like workplace learning, the career exploration, students get in 9th grade, as well as the technology courses. Most students don't offer those, or most students don't get those. Most schools don't offer them. So it's important that we find ways for students to catch up with the options that they don't maybe get at other schools.
I like the early college experience, and really, no, it's going pretty good around here so far. Can't really complain. Nobody knows me. I don't know nobody, so I'm just chilling, vibing. It's a lot harder to talk to people now. I'm real shy, but I'm getting the hang of it. I was thinking distance, and relatively, like I said before, I like the early college experience, and yeah, and I ain't gotta wake up that early.
How do you feel socially here?
Socially, pretty decent around here. Much of what I had going on in my last school. More so of as long as you ain't mess with nobody, nobody mess with you kind of vibe.
Yeah, that. Do you feel academically challenged at P-Tech? If so, why?
I can definitely say in some subjects it's a little harder, and some it's a lot easier. It's just given my experience with the subject. Biggest issue for me might be communicating with teachers. I never really had a good experience with that.
It was a new environment, different from my old school. I would say here I felt a little more comfortable after a while than I did at my other school, and there was really no problems. In the beginning, I didn't talk to people. I was by myself and just in my own world. But now I talk more, I socialize more, and I just get along better now. I would say better security guards and more comfortable teachers because they're very welcoming. And like my old school, they were there, but I didn't feel that sense of comfort that I do here.
Feeling safe?
Yes. I would say it's a slow process. I feel like my first friend that I made was only because I joined basketball. So I feel like if I didn't join basketball, I wouldn't really talk to people and have as many friends.
So the extracurriculars that P-Tech has, it brought you more friends and socializing in the school?
Yes. Does that look good?
Sit. Let me see. Go sit.
Oh, that looks good. That really
Okay,
looks good.
that's good.
Okay.
I didn't talk. And now that I know a lot more people and more comfortable, can you stop? Courtney, can you stop?